Hi, this is JoAnn Alumbaugh, editor of PorkNetwork, and I am here visiting with Dr. Tim Fox, who is the head of Energy and Environment for the Institution of Mechanical Engineers. And Dr. Fox, you gave a presentation this morning talking about how we have much of the food that we could use in the future, but a lot of it is being wasted right now. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We did some research work last year where we asked ourselves the question, how much additional food production do we need to do to meet the growing demands of the population on the planet through 21st century? And what we discovered is that actually we produce about 4 billion tons of food annually on the planet, but something like 30 to 50% of that food doesn't actually reach a human stomach. So what we're doing is, on an annual basis, we're losing nearly half of the food we produce. But not only the food, we're losing all of the energy and the water that goes into the production of that food. And as engineers, that's a crucial finding for us, because we're continually asked to deliver more energy and more water, and we're asked to do it in a sustainable way to meet demands from many sectors. And if it's possible to meet the growing food demand from the increased population this century without having too much increase in production, that helps us use that energy and water for other human endeavors. So it's a very important finding for us.
One thing that I thought was very interesting is, from a developed country, we might think, well, we're not the culprits in this, but you mentioned that it's not only developing and emerging economies, but it's also the waste that we see in developed countries like those in the EU and in the US.
Yeah, basically the overall figure that we gave is made up of two components. There is the food that is lost in the supply chain in newly emerging and developing economies, where they have poorly engineered infrastructure such as storage, transportation, and poor ways of handling the food in the field. In mature developed economies like European countries, the United Kingdom, the USA, for example, we have a challenge at the other end of the spectrum. We're incredibly efficient at getting the food from the farm to the marketplace. But then once we get there, we're very, very wasteful about the way in which we treat that food. So we waste something like 30 to 50% of the food that we take into the home, we actually throw away after we've purchased it. Something like 25% of the food that's prepared for the table in the United States ends up being thrown away. So there are issues there around consumer behavior, but there are also issues to do with retail practices which demand perfect food, perfect produce from the farmers. And this can lead to up to 40% of the crop in sub-Saharan African countries being rejected because it doesn't meet the demands of mature developed economies for cosmetically pleasing food. So when you put all this together, you get this 30 to 50% overall waste and loss of food globally. So, there are things to be done in both mature developed economies and emerging and developing economies.